today my plan is to make something of a guide for doing beginner speedruns on mouse and keyboard, and doing some derust for Deere Run beginner, because I haven't done any of those in a couple of months. So I'm a bit out of practice on that particular one. And I think since it's the most optimized route, it's probably the best one to demonstrate the strats that I use. So yeah, default conditions except for wind off is the settings for it, or for any individual course speedrun. And I have the input display up there, top left, which kind of looks bad in this menu because it's like white on light gray.
Hello there, my name is John. We're looking forward to a little bit of golf today. And today we find ourselves in Silvis, Illinois, at TPC Deere Run.
The buttons there pretty much
put this in the fairway.
all the
what do you say?
different buttons that I would use, except I occasionally use the arrow keys, which don't show up on that, but that's not usually the case. And I don't think for this run I would use the arrow keys for anything. So yeah, WASD for aiming and setting the shot shaping. Then Q and E, change clubs. Spacebar is Scout Cam, which I actually try to avoid using, or for speeding up. And then control is one that I don't think I ever saw I don't think I ever saw that in the controls section in the menus for this game, but it actually does something. It doubles the speed of any adjustments you make, whether it be with aim or with shot shaping. So I can demonstrate here, like if I'm pressing A to aim left, and then I press control, I start moving it twice the speed, which is pretty useful, especially if I have a situation where I need to move the aim quite a bit, or if I say need to go up to the maximum amount of spin, and I know that that's the spot I want. If I need to be more precise, I don't use control that much, because I can overshoot what I'm looking for pretty easily, and a lot of the spots I'm trying to hit with shot shaping are pretty precise, so it would be tough to get it exact moving at twice speed. But anyway, timing normally starts as soon as you gain control of the golfer, which is I usually go by video of whenever I see this bar move or the club go back at all. So it's not like technically when the first frame that the player gains control most of the time, because it's really hard to judge at what point the game starts registering inputs. It seems to vary quite a bit. So rather than trying to guess when that happens, typically just go by whenever the player makes their first input, and it's not a big deal. I think, like, obviously you don't want someone like waiting on the first tee for like 20 seconds before they start, but as long as you start your run fairly quickly, it works pretty well. So then
I'll take that.
Shoot, I messed that up.
And we're about 130 yards
start again.
in from here.
And actually explain what I'm trying to do there. So if I get into it on the first hole, what I'll do is after I take the tee shot, which I just hit straight at 100%, the first thing I want to do is then press Shift and A at the same time to buffer a shot-shaped fade. And then what I'm doing is waiting for the ball to come to rest on the tee shot, and then once the game allows it, it'll start adding that fade as quickly as possible, or as soon as possible. And then I'm looking for the blue line for the ball trajectory indicator to reach a certain visual cue that I'm looking for, which in the case of that shot is a little bit outside of that flagstick icon that gets above the hole, or above the ball line. No, yeah, right above where the hole is on the course. Other times I'm looking to see it like reach certain numbers or letters on the aim marker, which is why for runs I typically put the game's heads-up display instead of having distances like on that top right side of the HUD, which you normally do for TGC because that gets turned off on the aim marker. I just put it on the aim marker because that gives me more things to look at and try to set cues for, because it's easier for me most of the time to get that blue ball trajectory line to match up with something that's on the one of the numbers or letters in the aim marker display, or distance information display that goes over the hole, than it is something in the environment. But there are a couple of exceptions to that. 15 is one of them, where I'm looking at like one of the tournament objects in the environment to base where I need to shape a fade for that shot, but most of the time it's something that's over the aim marker. Anyway, for the first hole now.
Hello and welcome to the nature.
So yeah, what I'll do is
my name is John, and
press A
welcoming
and
you to
Shift,
PGA Tour 2K20.
and wait for that to get a little
And today
outside that
we're
box. That might have been too
starting
much.
off with a lovely
So that's how I played the first hole.
TPC Deere Run.
And
Now
then
let's spank that ball into the fairway.
really only takes
and,
two different
peeking around.
spacebar matches to get through.
Here's a nice
like one to
par
skip
5.
animations, one to skip past the scorecard, but I don't know when those are going to come up because the game load times vary so much, so I'm just mashing the whole time so I don't accidentally lose some time by mistiming when those two things will come up, which makes it terrible to listen to, but it's slightly faster.
Hi there, my name is John. I'd like to
Oh, yeah,
welcome
and
you
then
to the course today.
Here's a
Par
lovely thing that comes
4
up.
is on the slate for this first hole today.
This only really happens on
Let's get
the
this.
first hole of a course, but sometimes I'll get a different club. What I want is the 3-wood here, and it'll aim like that. If I get the 3-wood, it's always the correct point that it's aiming at. But in some cases I get like the hybrid or an iron, and in those cases I just reset because it's a bunch of time wasted and it's not aimed at the same line, so even if I club up to a 3-wood really quickly, I'm going to be in a different spot. So in those cases
Looks like this
just
one will be
start over.
safe in the fairway.
Fortunately, that is
Second
only
shot
something that
here
happens on the
first.
first hole. That doesn't happen anywhere else for some reason. So it's not a huge deal, but it's a bit annoying.
That was an impressive approach.
If I want to go to the second hole, the second hole is a good one to demonstrate a lot of the things I think about.
Starting your round out on the right
because,
foot today. On the par.
It has
Keep that
a
going.
lot of different shot shaping tricks to it, and also par 5s are pretty tough to get optimally fast because of how hard it is to hit the pin from that distance, and this second hole took me a long time to find a setup for that I like and is fast and consistent. I had one setup that sometimes dunks the ball in the hole, but that's about 2% of the time. And if it doesn't do that, then the ball rolls off the green, which is about the worst thing that you can do on beginner speedruns. You don't want the ball catching any sort of slope. You pretty much want to either hole out or hit the pin on every single hole to get a run optimized on beginner. But the first thing I do is add as much topspin as I can. If I don't do that and hit it at 100, then the ball ends up in that rougher bunker just past the fairway there. Most of the time on tee shots I'm also looking for something where I can hit it at 100% because it's pretty easy to do that consistently. And if I have to hit it something like 101, there are different distances it can go and still say red 101. So I don't know exactly what I'll get, even if it says red 101 every time I'm trying to play a hole. Because getting a red 101 is not difficult, but there are multiple red 101s I can get, and then that throws off where the ball will end up for the approach shot. So pretty much just want to stick with some kind of setup that's where I can hit it 100, and something I don't have to aim left or right, because if I do that, the controls are really not precise enough to get in the same place every time. Like if you zoom in the scout cam and look at, if I'm just pressing A and D without control, which is the slow way, like it's hard to get this, to use the digital inputs on a keyboard to get it to aim at an exact spot, which is why if there's a shot that requires me to aim somewhere using the arrow keys or WASD, it's pretty much impossible to consistently get it to hit something, to either hit the pin or hole out with it. It's just simply not precise enough. Even with the scout cam, it takes a long time for me to aim at a specific point. Like I was trying to aim at the rough collar there. So if it can be avoided, it's pretty much best to just stick with either shot shaping and try to stick with power percentages that are consistent. So whatever it gives you for the most part, and a lot of times they'll shot shape to the extreme value because that'll be the same every time, and like trying to get it finessed, and it's a little more difficult. With spin and loft though, it's not quite like aiming left and right or adjusting power forward or back, because it's a bit more precise. So I can make there are a few spots like on 13 where I'm adding just a touch of loft or a touch of spin, and it is somewhat consistent. But as far as aiming goes, there's really no way to do it the same way every time. So yeah. So the first shot, I go as much topspin as possible.
Oh dear
100%.
gracious! You just tattooed that one.
And then right there.
Okay,
then
this is
second
looking
shot,
to be about 225.
add backspin all the way
from the pin.
And then add. I usually take my. I usually have my left ring finger on the left shift and then my left pinky on control when I'm using both at the same time. So then I usually will let go of control then, and then just tap A for a bit to add a bit of fade, because that helps get a better hit on the flag stick. If you can see, there's a little, the slope here causes the ball to draw a little bit. So what that means is that when I get down, when I have this much spin, and I can look in the scout cam, the ball, when the A marker is aimed here, like a half grid past the hole, actually is going to land just in front of it. So I add a little bit of fade so that it hits the pin more directly and should take all of the speed off of it instead of hitting it at a glancing blow and sort of bouncing off to the side and off the green potentially. You want it to hit at a pretty direct angle, and if it lands close enough to the hole and hits it immediately, then it should take most of the speed off of it and the ball will end up within inches of the cup. So it's probably one of the most precise things to do in beginner routes. But I think I have this aimed correctly, so...
Holy, what a shot.
Hits right in front.
Way out. Well done.
And then hits the pin.
Okay, this one's
You don't want it to hit
footer.
it on the fly, because then it does not take any speed off of it, and usually the ball will end up about 30 feet from the hole or something. So yeah, I need to land it just before and then hit the pin.
Looking good.
And
Good
through
work
is
in
one where
there
I'm just
with it,
buffering
Eagle.
a swing right away.
All right, you
Because
brought
all I
things
do
down
is,
to 3 under after that hole.
Hit it basically.
Oh man!
And I messed that up. Usually I want to hit
Okay,
it
time
at
to
the
finish
98
up.
there, and I overdid it a little, which sometimes the holes load in so that the distance bar at the bottom is not visible until well after the inputs are registering. So this will show up and this power marker is like already almost there, so it can be tough to time that, but luckily hitting it 99 works out like this.
And there we go.
But not always. Sometimes you get like a red 99 and it'll take a terrible hit or miss the stick and tail.
4 under par is your score at the moment.
Then
Teeing
for
up here on the 4th
something
hole.
I do a lot in runs, immediately club down when I get to the hole. Like, usually I'm just mashing Q and waiting for the first one to register. If 2 register accidentally, then I just press E to get back to it. So I'm at the 3 wood. And again, no aim adjustments or anything, just hit it 100.
We'll take
And
those
then
all day.
This
was
shot's an
about 180
example
yards
of
out.
a shot that I have one club specifically in my bag just to hit this shot. I took the P790s, I believe is the 6-iron I have for this. It's the only club of that type I have in my bag for running this course, and it's only used on this shot because the ball has about a 50% chance of
Come on, get
one-hopping
down
into the
on that
hole.
green.
If it doesn't, it ends up just outside, which... Okay, did it on that
Oh,
one.
I don't know how.
I think
Guys do
flag
it out
stick
there,
collisions are a
dropping
little
shots
bit
like that.
inconsistent.
Just
There's
fun
not
to
supposed to
watch.
be any randomness in
Let's
this
let this
game,
fly
and there
here on
usually
the
isn't,
fifth.
but what I've noticed is with pin collisions, sometimes it can vary a bit, so that does not always drop, but it does a little bit more than half the time, I'd say. Do the same on this that I did on the tee shot on the last, just club down. And then this is pretty
Nice.
much like one, except I'm adding
And this is
draw
looking
instead
to
of
be
fade.
about 155 yards
So
out.
so my visual cue for this is like right between the 1 and the 5 is where I want the aim line. Yeah, I know. I don't really encounter that much, but it's hitting the pin is a little bit weird at times. Yeah, the lie percentages. Fortunately for beginner, the lie percentages don't have any randomness. If they did, then I don't think beginner runs would be nearly as fast. But on pro, you kind of just have to deal with it. I don't even look at it on pro, honestly. I don't have time. I'm already in the middle of my swing. But yeah. I think this is aimed correctly.
Come on, heading for the green.
How's it going, guys?
Man, how far away were you from
I don't know if I'm
hole?
going to say that this is my
Phenomenal
tutorial per
shot.
se, but I am
Congratulations.
trying to explain my
I'm inspired.
process for routing as I'm going through this, one hole at a time. So then, okay. This one, I, for the longest time, went with the 3-wood. But what I found out is that it's really nice in some cases to club up to driver if you can get it to stop right away, which this does since you're landing into an upslope in the rough.
That's
The
unfortunate.
second shot's a bit weird. I
Here's
think I
our
need
second
like
shot on this 6th
to
hole.
do that a little bit, and
This is looking promising.
I need to add a little top to
30.
that one too. I added this fairly late. I don't.
And let's see how that adds up.
So the 6th hole is not
Sitting at 9 under for the
consistent
round.
in this one. And then 7. So 7 on this course is the first example of a bad waypoint. Deere Run as a whole actually is pretty good in terms of waypoints. There are other courses that have par 3 waypoints that I don't understand at all. There's one on Atlantic where it'll tell you to hit to the front of the green even though the pin's 40 yards farther away in the back. But in this case, it's not too bad that it's here because I'll just club up to a 3-iron, which is better for this hole anyway. And it sets my distance to 100 automatically, which is nice. And then I'm just aiming for like until I get a little bit inside that white border. Yeah, I have not run Twin Cities on beginner. I did on Pro and Legend the other week. For those, it's actually a pretty fast course.
That'll do.
I was just running
We're
until
7 feet away.
I got under 6 minutes on Legend and under 5:30 on Pro, and I think I did it on my first attempt for each of them, which I don't think I did for any other course. Yeah, I think I was talking to Matt F the other day about designing courses for Divot Derby, and I'm like, really the thing that you want to have is good waypoints, because those are the worst to try to deal with when you're trying to play fast. Admittedly, I'm not really a Divot Derby player. I speedrun and I don't really play that mode, but a lot of the same principles apply. I actually needed to aim a bit more to the left on that shot. But there's like a 1% chance of acing this hole, and that would save probably about 1.5 seconds. The issue is that there's no way to tell if I'm aimed at that point, and even if without using the scout cam anyway, and it takes forever to set that up.
And that'll keep you at 9 under for the round.
I think I see C-Mount play that sometimes
right in front of us here. Let's see
on
what we can
stream,
do.
but other than that, I have never really seen anyone play Divot Derby since I started watching this on Twitch back in August. Which, yeah, I don't know if that means that HB's not going to add that in the next game if they think that Divot Derby was kind of a flop. Which, I don't. Yeah, on 7, I mean, I don't really even go for the ace because it's so rare to get it. I really just want it close enough that I can knock a putt straight in the hole. If it goes in, that's a gift, but the odds of getting it are so low that it's really not worth counting on for the most part. And I don't think I ever set a record while acing 7. So 8.
Looking good off the tee.
This is just one where
shot
all I'm
here
looking
on
at
hole
is
number 8.
distance meter at the bottom, and I wait until it just clicks over to 96 and then just hit it, because this one goes straight in when I do that.
This could be good. And it drops for the eagle. Unreal.
I think I took off a little bit more than I had to, so the ball
letting me be
a little bit short.
Great work.
Took its time getting
Here
to
we
the hole,
go.
but
Par
it's
4
not
ahead of you.
bad. 9, I really don't like. If I hit anything less than driver, I'm looking at a really long shot in. So I have to go with driver, even though it catches that slope and spends a bit of time on that. But
and hopefully this one's nice and safe in the fairway.
Haven't really found a much
This is
better
clocking
one.
in at around 170 yards
And
or
then
so to the pin.
this isn't one where this is one of the rare times where I am like, okay, I'll just hit this 101%, because it'll hit the pin on the bounce, no matter if it's like a low or a high 101, and then I can tap the putt in. There's, like, I could try to go for shot shaping to get this one, but it actually would take more time if I try to line it up slowly to get it precise, and if I just go for it, then I'm not getting it, like, not even like 5% of the time. So I just did go with something that hits the pin and it doesn't take a super long time, which
looks like this will be on the dance floor. Okay, could be a birdie on the scorecard if you drop this. Good work out there today. That's your 4th birdie.
I don't feel
so
the best
far.
about that, because I know there are
Sitting at
setups
12 under for the
where you can
round.
get an eagle, but I haven't
Teeing
found
it up
one
now
that's
on the 10th.
actually faster than just doing that. And then 10. This is one of the, or maybe the only tee shot that I try to overpower. And the reason I do that is because I'm just putting the second shot in the bunker. I know a pretty tough to do setup where I hit the drive 100 and then like add some shape to this to get, I'll actually flip up to driver and add enough draw till I get like here, and then the ball can like maybe roll into the hole, but that is pretty tough to pull off. So for the most part, I'm just once I get here, I should be buffering W and A so that this goes up to 100 by the time I'm aimed at the bunker, and then put it in.
And this is your 3rd shot.
I used to aim for the bunker on 2 as well before I found that setup where I can hit the pin. Unfortunately, 10's too long to hit the pin with the second shot on the fly, so have to settle for playing for the sand. And then usually a game will give you something like this where you don't have to make any adjustments and just can then help it into the pin. It's not the greatest hit.
Work left for us on this one. Nicely played out of that sand. Nice putt, and that is for birdie number 5 on the day. Okay, lengthy par 4 ahead of us
can
here.
vary by half a second or so, just based on how good of a bunker shot it gives me. The issue is that I'm not very confident in my ability to partial shots. I could, I could always do like a control and adjust the distance like that, but there are a lot of things where I don't go for the riskier setups, and until I have to. I mean, I think this 407 can come down a couple seconds, and at that point I'll have to start adding in riskier shot shaping, using control button to save time while shot shaping, and things like that. But there are like a couple holeouts I don't have in this 407 that I can definitely save time with. But yeah, there might come a day when I'll have to try partialing shots, but I'm not looking forward to it. I don't think there's anything that unique about this hole.
Okay, second shot on the 11th.
Other than that, I don't like this
Well, it's
second
heading in the
shot,
right
'cause it never
direction.
goes in.
Doing all right, hitting those greens today. Well done. And as that drops in the hole, that's your 6th birdie today.
And this one, this is, I used to have a different setup and aim left. I was like looking for that tree behind the hole and get an ace, which I actually could do somewhat often because of the way the green funnels, but I actually found out later it's easier just to find a club that went about 213, which is why I have this hybrid. Get the draw to about here, where this blue line is bordering that 2 and the 213, and just hit it off the pin.
Heading for the green. And just
even if you get
so
an ace,
close to
by like aiming
almost
for
hold
it,
that one out.
that's still
Great
faster.
work off the tee. All right, let's see what we can do here on the 13th. Looking good off the tee.
And this one, I like just tap the S button to add a bit of block, because if I don't, the ball does
Nice.
not go in, but if I do,
Yeah, that shot
It didn't
sounded
back
good
in.
right from the get-go. Sometimes you just know.
Loving it. That's birdie number 8.
it has a
on
better
the
chance
day.
of going in if I do that draw.
All right, stepping up to a par 4 here.
I'm gonna come down to this one, put it in
And from the
bunker,
green side, sand. Looking for an up and
and
down
then
here.
depending on what I want to do, I either can like do something like that to try to get the ball to roll in, or I just hit it, or I can just hit it with a bit of shape.
Oh,
Try to do it like that.
all right, let's pop this in. Birdie putt. And up puddle drop. This one's a par 4.
15.
Oh my, that
One of
was
the
a vulgar
few
display of
shots
power
where
on
I'm
that.
looking at something in the environment.
And this one's
So I'm
around
like looking at
140 yards to the pin.
where the sun hits that camera tower, and then I try to. Also, I'm trying to press A and D, or A and S, sorry, at the same time, to add some fade and loft until it covers that. I think that's.
Coming in for a landing on the short stuff would be good. And boom, it's down. And just hold it out. Just
16,
like that.
which,
You made it
like
look
7,
easy.
is a bad waypoint,
Amazing.
so it's a tricky
work.
setup. I club up, aim, so I'm just inside that border, and then add loft until I'm at 150. And trying to do all of those fast is pretty tough, but if I hit the
Heading for
wedge,
the
there's
green.
not really a good way to get it close.
Oh my
I need
goodness.
to aim a little bit more to
That
the
almost
left,
dropped
but there's
for
a
the
chance I
ace.
can ace during that.
Let's see how this all adds up. Here we go.
And
Hole
17
number
is another
17,
tough
ready to
setup.
go. Yeah,
This
that'll
one
work.
I'm pressing
Okay, this is about
shifting control,
240
taking
yards or so
loft
from the
and
pin.
spin all the way back, and then I'm aiming until I get to 232 here, and that should say 96%. And I think the odds of this going in are a little over 60%.
Which is
Yeah.
that was some
If it doesn't go
serious
in, it does
talent.
that, which is not the worst.
And moving along.
It's still fairly
Okay, and
fast.
another fantastic hole. Keeps your
18.
score. I guess it's looking fantastic.
This
Good
hole
job
is pretty tough for pro and legend. Actually, it's a nightmare on legend, but on beginner, it's one of the simplest holes on the course, which is nice.
Oh,
All
this
I have
one's
to
in the
do
fairway.
is, it's like 8. All you have to do is
Here's
press
our
S
second
and wait
shot
until that gets to
on the
91,
18th.
and then just hit it.
Oh, we're green bound here. And with that, I say goodbye. See you next time.
With that being said, think that'll probably conclude me trying to explain how I route and the strategies I'm using. I'll probably get into runs for a bit.
Just sheer brilliance.
So if I hold down
Great
the
work.
space bar, I don't think I'm
Looks like we're heading to the fairway here. Okay, this is
between
looking to be
shots,
about
and you'll never activate the
225
scout cam.
from the pin.
However, if I
4 feet left.
take my thumb off and
That's gonna
repress
work.
it, then it will.
And
A lot of
4
that
under
times I
par
just have
after
my-
that hole.
I have the space bar
Shots
pressed down.
coming towards the green
And
nicely.
that's it.
And that will work. And here we have a lovely